have it. One of my most anticipated movies of the year. A massive fan of the Alien movies, just in case you don't know yet. Here we go. I mean, I think I own every film on, or I have owned every film on VHS, DVD, Blu-ray. I love the Alien movies, and I've been so excited for Alien Covenant, the sequel to Prometheus and prequel to the original Alien from 1979. So yeah, I was so damn excited that I had to, there was a very slightly early screening of Alien Covenant in View Cinemas last night. They were showing a screening at 8:30 in the evening. There was also a midnight showing as well, but I went for the R-Bar stage, which was even earlier. Not much earlier, but you know. And so yeah. So the plot, you've got the Covenant, which is a colonization ship, and it's carrying, I think it's something like 2,000 colonists. And they're on their way to this planet. I think it's called Orgai. I think that's how you say it, Orgai. But they're on their way towards this planet to colonize it, to terraform it. But they get this signal. And they deviate from their course due to certain circumstances. A few things happen at the beginning. I'm not going to say too much because this is a spoiler-free review. So they end up getting diverted to this other planet, which just happens to be perfect, as in just a much more suited planet to colonize for us, for the human race, really. And they sort of like, how did we miss this other planet and all that? And should we just go and have a look at it, investigate and all of that? So they do. And that's where they meet David, again played by Michael Fassbender, the same David from Prometheus. And Michael Fassbender also plays another android that's based within the Covenant crew named Walter. So you've got him playing these two different roles, you could say, within the movie. And first, right, I want to start off with saying Michael Fassbender in this movie is amazing. I love him as an actor, right? And I didn't really expect any less from him. But his performance in this film was mesmerizing. He was so immersed within this role, this character, and he was almost sort of hypnotic to watch. I just really, really dug his performance. I dug it in Prometheus, but in this, just to watch him was very sort of hypnotic. I thought he was great, playing both David and Walter. Okay, so being such a massive fan of the Alien movies, and we had Prometheus, which again I was very excited for, and originally I was sort of disappointed at first with Prometheus, but over time Prometheus really sort of grew on me, and I really grew to appreciate Prometheus over the years. The more I seen it, and I actually, to be honest with you, I really, really like that film now. I really like Prometheus more than I did when it originally came out, because I sort of appreciated it for what it was, and I could see what Ridley Scott was doing. But then we had Alien Covenant, which was coming along, which was going to be a sequel to Prometheus and a prequel to the Alien. And when we had the trailers, one of my worries and my concerns was it looked like Ridley Scott was sort of giving in to the fans and was like, right, come on then, let's have some more xenomorph then. And I thought, the worry that I had was he was going to abandon the story and the mythology that he'd created and that he was exploring in Prometheus. I thought he was just going to abandon that and just create a film which would have been catered for the hardcore fans. And don't get me wrong, I'm a hardcore Alien fan, and I wanted to see, a lot, more xenomorph, more Alien. But after really sort of learning to sort of appreciate and really like that particular movie, Prometheus, I really wanted more of a true sequel to Prometheus, and I wanted to see where they were going to go with that story, with David, with Shaw, and Paradise. I mean, were they going to find Paradise? What would they find? But then we had the trailers to Alien Covenant, and he was like, he's catering towards the fans. And I feel, in a way, when you do that, I feel like the film can suffer when it comes to story, and the quality of the film can suffer if you really sort of give in and give what all the fans want, because that doesn't necessarily work all the time. So I finally watched it last night, with those sort of worries in my head and sort of preparing myself to be a little let down. One word. Wow. I really, really liked this film. I haven't said loved, but I really, really liked it. And don't get me wrong, this is not a perfect film, okay? But I liked it so much that I can say, yeah, I actually loved it, but not loved it as much as I love the original Alien film. But in its own way, I can honestly tell you guys, I loved this film. I enjoyed it so much that I can say I loved it. I enjoyed every moment of it. And what I mean by perfect is, yeah, there were a few things that could have been done better or handled better, but overall, I really bloody enjoyed this film. So much, in fact, that I actually seen it again this morning before filming this review. And I never thought, watching that film, before going in to watch the movie last night, I never expected myself to feel like that after watching it. To actually get that urge to see it again straight after. If I could have, I would have gone to the midnight showing straight after it. That's how much I enjoyed this film. Right, let's get into the sort of details of the film without giving anything away. This is a spoiler-free review. But the aesthetic of the movie. I really liked the aesthetic. It had more of that sort of 1979 Alien feel and look about it, which I really liked and I really dug. Also, the score in this film by a Jed Kuzel, I think it is, but the score in this film, the music, I loved it. It was a perfect blend of the music from Prometheus, from the original movies, and even some new material as well, and it was like a perfect blend of all of it. And there was even moments that sort of reminded me a little bit of Alien 3 even. I mean, if anyone knows me, I'm quite a big fan of Alien 3, okay? I know a lot of people don't like that film. I really, really like Alien 3. And I loved the score in that film, and there were even elements of that score within this film as well, which really made me smile. Did anyone else pick up on that? Let me know in the comments below. But I really, really dug the score. But going on about it being a perfect blend, one of my concerns was Ridley Scott abandoning the story from Prometheus and catering towards the fans and giving a bit more of a alien film. I felt like there was a perfect blend, or a balance even, of both. Ridley Scott did continue the story that he started off with Prometheus, obviously with David and Shaw and all of that. That's in it. You could kind of tell that he sort of abandoned little details and moments maybe, or where they were gonna go, just so they could sort of fit in this more of a sort of direct tie-in with the sort of Alien. But I thought it was very well done in how they did it. It was a really good really good balancing act of continuing the mythology that he started with Prometheus, as well as sort of giving us, the fans, that classic Alien feel, that classic Alien story and movie even. And it was a good balance of both. And I was just afraid that he was just going to completely throw that out the window, the Prometheus side of things, and just give us a straight up classic Alien movie. And luckily, he didn't. I mean, he retained a lot of all, and even towards the end of the film, don't worry, I'm not going to give anything away, but it gets you excited for the further installments, which apparently he does have planned, and he's going to be filming within 2 years, or within a year and a half, something like that. And so, yeah. What I will say is, the overall story of the film, how it sort of plays out, lacks originality. I mean, when I explained how the basic plot, basically, of them being diverted to another planet because of a signal, does that remind anyone of another film? Yeah, so it in a way, it's almost as if you'd seen it before. And so as a result, lacked a little bit of originality. But that really didn't affect my sort of viewing experience, because there was a lot more going on within the story concerning David's character, which I feel like David was the main focus of this film, and I feel like this is what the film was all about. For me, it wasn't the xenomorph, even though the xenomorph is in it. For me, this film was about David, and I loved how Ridley Scott handled that, and that focus on David, and it really, if anything, this movie, one word that sprung to my head after seeing Alien Covenant was intriguing. This film was really interesting more than anything else. Yeah, it answered a few questions. It asked even more, again. But it really got me interested in this world and what was going on and what could happen in the future. Because you eventually know where the story is going to lead, you see. But yeah, I feel like in this he explored David even more, which is what I really wanted. After Prometheus, what I really wanted more of was David and his sort of agenda, and that's explored more in Alien Covenant, and I liked that. This is a really violent film. There's a lot of blood in it, so if you're going in wanting a lot of blood and gore, this is R-rated, and they don't sort of shy away, you know, they don't move the camera when you're going to get a really sort of gruesome moment. They show it in all its glory, and I liked it. It was done very well. It wasn't done cheaply. Though what I will say is, one of the little minor gripes I had was they tended to focus a little too much on the creatures. And I felt like we've seen a little bit too much sometimes. And I always think to create that little bit more of a horror, or bring a bit more horror into the film, just know that this threat exists, but don't just show it, you know, completely. Just see it slightly. You haven't got to see it all the time. But overall, I really liked it. I really enjoyed it. But again, talking about the creatures, I think there was in moments of the movie, not completely, but in certain moments of the film, I do feel like there was a bit of an over-reliance on CGI. But again, that's just like a minor gripe. It also had a lot of tension in this film. There were moments where I was literally at the edge of my seat, because the way Ridley Scott built the tension in this movie with certain scenes, it was incredible, and it was literally at the edge of my seat. I mean, I gotta say, this film was a ride. So much, almost like the second Aliens film. It was a ride, I felt. And again, going back to perfect blends, this film was also sort of a really nice blend of the original film, as well as Aliens, the sequel, and Prometheus. Imagine those three films combined, and you've got this sort of perfect blend of each one. That's what Alien Covenant was for me. Yeah, this was a very dark film, a very murky film, and the way the film was shot, just reminded me so much of the 1979 film. There were certain moments in the scene when it comes down to aesthetic, the set design, and just when they're actually on this planet, everything just felt and looked sort of so real and dirty. You could almost, as if you could smell it and touch it for yourself. I mean, you know, Ridley Scott did a really good job, I feel, at immersing the viewer into this world, and it really felt horror-like at times, as in almost as if you were in hell, because it felt so dirty. I mean, everything just looked so real. I think he also did a good job at scope and scale, whereas you had these moments, these horror-like moments, which were more confined, but then when it required this sort of spectacle or epicness of certain scenes or settings, I mean, there was a good balance of both. You know, when it comes to the engineer sort of home world, it was sort of, you could see the scale of it, and it was very grand. And for a film that was basically a horror movie, it also had a lot of sort of this epic sort of spectacle about it as well. And like I said, it was a really good balance of having the both. Because when it came to the horror, I mean, it was when it came to those moments of horror, you were in these sort of confined spaces, and all of a sudden then you were back in the Alien 1979. But then when it came to the sort of grand spectacle of it all, you were back into the sort of Prometheus arena. When it comes to the characters, I like them all. It does help. If you haven't gone to see it yet, it does help if you see they released a lot of these clips before the film was released, and there was a lot of uncertainty whether those clips would be actually in the movie or not. A lot of them are not, and I would recommend, even though I don't think you really need to, I do recommend you watch them, because it does give a little bit of insight into these characters. But I just felt like the way they were developed within the movie itself was very satisfactory. I liked how Ridley Scott built these characters within the film. I grew attached to quite a lot of them, in fact, even though you know a lot of them are there just for the body count. but I actually generally grew attached to a lot of them, especially Billy Crudup's character, who he eventually becomes the captain, and you might know him from Doctor Manhattan in Watchmen and in the Watchmen film. But I really liked his character in this film. He plays he's Oram. I think that's how you say his name. And yeah, like I said, he becomes the captain quite early on in the film, actually, due to certain circumstances. And he's a religious person. He's very religious, and he's I'm not actually sure if they mentioned the faith or not. But there was a lot of characters like that I found were very interesting. And I mean, I thought the characters were sort of well drawn out in this. They felt real. They felt down to earth. You didn't feel like you were watching a film with actors in it. Their performances were all very natural, almost like the 1979 version of Alien, where you've got them, these truckers in space, and they're all sitting down after after waking up from cryo sleep, and they're all, talking to each other, socializing and eating, and it all felt natural. And the same thing goes for Alien Covenant. The way he sort of created this atmosphere within the characters and the chemistry, it all really felt grounded and just natural and real, and I liked it. And you had these really interesting characters, like the Billy Crudup's character, who was religious. There is a gay couple in the film, but it's not sort of in your face, sort of as in, they're gay sort of thing, and I like that as well. They sort of naturally brought those characters in, and that was nice. And also, there was this is a beautiful film to look at, and you come to expect that with Ridley Scott. Like Prometheus, Alien Covenant is a gorgeous film to look at. Even it's dark, it is murky, but it's done gorgeously. It looks gorgeous. And along with that, there's some really, really nice moments within this film. There are moments that really, the way they were shot. There's this one particular moment. After seeing the film twice, I can say, yeah, there's this one moment in the film that's probably my favourite moment. Don't worry, I'm not going to give any details away. But it's involving a chestburster scene and a particular character, and this is, I think, coming toward as you getting into the third act. I'll probably explain this more in my spoiler-filled review, but it's a very nice moment. If you've seen it already, you might know what I mean. But it's a chestburster scene just coming towards the third act, and I thought it was a very nice moment. It actually, in a way, almost made me tear up. I don't know if I'm odd because of that. There was something about this overall scene and how it played out, and along with the music that was accompanying this scene. And I think that scene encapsulated what this film was all about for me. I don't know if you agree. If you've seen the film and you know the scene that I'm referencing, let me know below. But it is my favourite scene out of the entire movie. And I felt like, for me, yeah, this was what the film was really all about. And that's where the focus was, which obviously, again, is involving David. So, Katherine Waterston as Daniels. I thought she was quite good. Really liked the performance. The big surprise for me was Danny McBride as Tennessee. He's really good in this film. I really liked his character. But again, like all of them, I think they all really overall performances. I mean, overall, the performances in this film were pretty good. I mean, everyone really gave it their all. And like I said, it all just felt really natural. They did feel like one unit, like a family. When it comes to the creatures, the Neomorph, I like the look of the Neomorph. I really like the look of the Neomorph, but it's one of those creatures within the film that I thought at times they relied a little bit too much on CGI when they didn't really need to, and I wish they used a practical effect more when it came to that creature. And the Xenomorph, which they sort of call in the Protomorph, because they're saying this is not actually the Xenomorph that we all know from the original film. And if you actually look at it, especially after watching this film, yeah, it's slightly different in build to what we all know. So maybe we have yet to see that sort of the classic original, but it's pretty darn close. And I just loved it was great to see it again on the screen, and I'm not going to say how much you do see of it, but you do see it. I liked how they sort of shot the alien, the xenomorph, in the third act, and there were moments where you didn't actually see it full on, you could just see it through sort of other objects and vehicles and all of that. Like I said, if you've seen the film, you'll know what I'm referencing. But then there were moments in the film where you just have this sort of full sort of widescreen shot of a creature, you'd say. And for me, it could have done without those certain shots. But again, when I think about that, it's like, well, it's just a minor gripe. I do feel like they could have probably answered a lot more in this film, and they could have delved a little bit more into the sort of what was actually going on and the story and the details and all, and the backstory. But I feel like, knowing that there's going to be a further 2 movies, that it didn't really bug me that much, and I was so invested within the story and David's character and all of that. I just really had a lot of fun with this film. I really, really enjoyed it. It made me tense. There were moments that really sort of, they were sort of gruesome to look at. It felt really horror-like, and I just thought the tension that was created within the film was really, really well done. I thought it was a perfect balance of the continuation of the story from Prometheus, as well as introducing these new characters and where the story is potentially going to go. I just thought that was a really good balancing act there by Ridley Scott. As a result of being so sort of invested within the story and these characters, you're sort of, the film doesn't, for me anyway, didn't become all about the xenomorph. Yeah, we knew it was coming and we knew we were going to have aliens in this, but they created such an interesting story and just an interesting world that for me that didn't particularly matter. Yeah, it was great when we got it, but I just really, really like this film. I'm so happy that this is what we got. There are like a couple of twists and turns. Some people have said they're predictable. I don't think everyone is going to say they're predictable. I sort of predicted the twist at the end. Well, saying that, I actually predicted it, then something happened, and I was like, oh, maybe not. And then the twist happened, and I was like, oh, I was right to begin with. So it did. It tries to mislead you. It tries to take you off the scent. But I liked it. I liked how it played out. In a way, the way this film is sort of laid out, and how this film does play out when it comes to certain characters, like David, it's almost like poetry, in a way. I just loved how these characters, how these sort of story arcs sort of came about, and how they start, how you'd see them at the beginning of the film and how they were at the end, and how certain scenes sort of played out and they mirrored each other. I just loved how this film was crafted. Don't get me wrong, it's not a perfect film, but as being a massive Alien fan, I really, really enjoyed this. So yeah, something happens at the end of the film. You get this twist, and I remember thinking last night, we've got another 2 movies coming, and this is eventually going to tie straight in to the 79 version, and that got me really excited, because the way they ended Alien Covenant was beautiful. I loved it. It was great. And it's got me really hyped for the next 2 movies. Apparently the next one will be called Alien Awakening. And once you've seen this movie, that title will make so much more sense. So yeah, if any of you guys have seen it, let me know below. The grade that I will be giving Alien Covenant is an A-. So yeah, really enjoyed it. A very, very happy Alien fan by you. But what did you guys think? Let me know below. Did you agree with anything I said or disagreed with anything I said? Have you yet to see it? If you haven't seen it and you are an Alien fan, please go and see it. I just really, really enjoyed it. This was sort of, as an Alien fan, it was sort of everything that I sort of wanted from both worlds when it came to the original Alien movies as well as Prometheus. So yeah, a very happy Alien fan you, and I think an A- is just the right score for this film. It's very rare that I can sort of come up with a grade during a film, but I did with this last night. It was during the third act, and I was sitting there, I was thinking, yeah, that's an A-. This is an A- for me. I knew then, after putting it all together, all the pieces together, that's where this film sat comfortably with me. And I really liked this. So there's enough of me rambling on. Again, thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. At some point during next week, I will hopefully bring you guys a spoiler-filled review of Alien Covenant as well. So yeah, once again, thanks for watching, and if you share the same passion as me, then why not hit subscribe?